All right, welcome in to the Andre Duke Show. Appreciate everybody on this fine Thanksgiving that is tuning in. We're not going to go super late, but it is one of those things we are going to do. Also, just by happenstance, the phone line is open. If you want to call, get your call in. Number to call 260-255-4069. Got a myriad of sports on. Hopefully everybody is having a happy Thanksgiving. I got all of my festivities and everything that I was doing today out of the way. So there's that. Number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Just doing some of the housekeeping things. We took last night off. I know a lot of people podcasted yesterday. I was just kind of like, I'm kind of out. There's that. So getting that retweeted, getting some folks in here. Appreciate you. Phone lines are open. Number to call 260-255-4069. A myriad of topics. We're going to run through some games. So there is that. Also, as the thumbnail says, the Egg Bowl is tomorrow. It is going to be a very interesting day. Are we looking at Lane Kiffin coaching his last game at Ole Miss? That is the big story du jour, the big topic du jour this evening. So there's that. Shout out real quick to some special people. Got me this as a present. This is the Sinatra Jack Daniels. The Sinatra Select. Got some of that rolling this evening. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And especially the people who made that possible. I appreciate them, and it is delicious. Number to call. Also, before we get too deep into this, if you're watching on X, come on over to the YouTube side of things and hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us a ton over here. I know it doesn't cost you anything to do it. I know this is outstanding podcasting right now, but there is that. We're going to get into what is rivalry week, look at some matchups. I'm also going to put out a betting card today. I'm not the greatest gambler, but hold on. I'm getting my notebook. Hopefully we can get some winners, and we're going to be using just ESPN Bet for these lines as they sit as we speak right now. And also the phone numbers on the ticker below. Number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. But we will jump right in with that. Also live right now, we have Memphis and Navy going right now. So there is that. I find it fascinating. But so we got that rolling. One more time before I start getting into the gambling thing. Let me put the banner up. Phone line is open. Number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. So if somebody wants to hit the line, we can talk Lane Kiffin. We can talk Ole Miss. Oklahoma State fills their coaching position a couple days ago as well. I think they made a good hire. I guess the big thing when it comes to Oklahoma State, can you keep Morris there? That's the big question, to be honest. That is the really big question. I know some people would probably disagree with me on that one, But I also think that for teams in the Big 12 and teams in the ACC, it's going to be hard to retain your coach for them not to leave to go to the higher leagues. Fran Brown being another one. James Franklin made the transition. But speaking of James Franklin, before we get into the gambling aspect of it, appreciate all 77 of you watching. Bone line is open. Also, Arkansas up by 2 on Duke, which that would be fascinating. But we talked about the James Franklin thing the other day, and I, was talking about the intimate knowledge that Franklin possibly has of the Penn State roster, the recruiting class, the game plan, basically the whole infrastructure of the program, pretty much James Franklin has. And he hasn't even been the head coach at Virginia Tech a week, has not coached a game. He has barely been there. James Franklin, in 3 days, this is via Rivals, Virginia Tech and James Franklin flipped 4 Penn State commitments in 3 days, raising them 54 spots to number 67 in Rivals industry rankings. They flipped 3 4-stars and another offensive lineman. It wasn't going to be hard for people to figure out those tea leaves. I mean, if I can figure it out, you're kind of behind on the party, to be honest. I think that really it was going to head towards that. I thought Franklin kind of had it in the bag. He was going to take kids from that recruiting class that he had been recruiting. He's not going to let Penn State have them. So that's just kind of where we're at, to be honest. It's not shocking. Some people at I think at Penn State will probably be shocked to the effect that, well, I can't believe James would do that to us. At the end of the day, it's kind of what it is. But I mean, it's really no love lost, to be honest. They fired him, and Penn State. You get a $40 million discount. That's kind of the way I look at it, to be honest. But yeah, I think there's going to be more. I think Penn State's the guy that comes in to replace Franklin. Going to be a tough road to go, to be honest. Hold on 1 second, sending a text. But yeah, that's kind of what it's. We're about to get into the. I know this is riveting pod. I just got to get this done. So I got that sent. All right, we're good to go now. Appreciate everybody, all 120 of you in here, hanging in there and being patient. But yeah, we'll start. Where are we going here? We can go ticket prices. So at Davis Wade, Ole Miss on the road, favored. Is this Lane's last dance? It would be interesting to see if it is or not. Ole Miss, as it sits right now, Ole Miss is -7.5, over under 62.5. That's a huge number. If I was to bet this game, I would like the under. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be an absolute shootout, to be honest. 62 is a lot of points, And the bread and butter really for Ole Miss the last couple of weeks. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss has been playing outstanding. Chambliss has been playing great, but Kewan Lacey is just unbelievable. I think he ran in that last game. He ran for like 200 some odd yards. I mean, unbelievable. Appreciate you guys hitting the subscribe button. That also helps a ton. So I think if I had to lean on the side of it, I think Ole Miss covers this line at 7.5. But the problem is the hook. I don't like that it sits at 7.5. If it was up to me, a more digestible number for Ole Miss would be 6, 6.5, even 7. Although I hate betting 7. It's like every time I bet 7 is the most unbelievable push you will get in your life. So there's that. Going into it, I mean, if you're an Ole Miss fan, it's going to be nonstop with the questions, and I'm sure the post-game press conference is going to be awkward. It puts Keith Carter in a very awkward spot because that ultimatum got leaked out there, and then it wasn't, and then whatever the hell it really was at the end of the day. I think Ole Miss has handled this really well, to be honest. I think Kiffin, for all intents and purposes, some people would probably disagree, and I'm not an Ole Miss insider, but two of the top Ole Miss insiders, probably the guy that's hands down the best. If you're an Ole Miss fan, you may like these guys, you might not, but it's Neil McCready and Chase Parham do an outstanding job over at Rebels 247. They're pretty much the industry leader at Ole Miss. And I do, and not to crap on David Johnson or some of the other guys on the beat, but Ben Garrett does a good job too. Those guys, they do really good work, but I would say Neil and Chase are probably about the best at when it comes to it. Really good people, but they'll be the ones to break the story if there's a story. I'm not really trying to break any news. I don't really want to get into the minutia or the business or anything trying to do that. But this Lane Kiffin thing, in my opinion, in the wild world that he would decide to stay at Ole Miss, unbelievable. I mean, I think the PR, a way to muck up your own front yard, Lane Kiffin, I got to give it to you, buddy. You took the cake on this one. Because everybody and their brother, I think if I was an Ole Miss fan and I was like, hotty toddy, let's go Rebs and all that, everything that they do, like I'm 2 feet in at the Grove, I think I really would just be like, just give us an answer so we can move forward. I think that's the biggest thing that the fans want. And I get it. The fans aren't always entitled to an answer. But at the end of the day, I think it's messed up that Lane has given the reporters virtually nothing. I mean, he learned that from, anybody that was on a PR firm knows that. He's not going to, and I know the insiders, Chase and Neil, have said they're not going to let him coach the playoffs. And I think Lane is looking for a way to try to play, well, I'm not leaving you, they're forcing me to leave. Well, that's not necessarily true, Lane. At the end of the day, when you start smelling your own farts enough, you believe your own bullshit. Pardon my French, but when you start doing that, you're not doing yourself any favors. The Ole Miss fans, I think, are tired of it. And quite frankly, I think they're ready for you to go so they can move on with somebody else that wants to be there. That's not going to be trying to chase the new shiny car. But I could tell you this much. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, Lane, what you did at Ole Miss going to get you fired at LSU. I'm just telling you. They could say the governor can only hold that office for 8 years. And I know some people will probably disagree and say Lane Kiffin is our guy. He is our guy. Well, if he's lock, stock, and barrel at LSU, what happens if Texas comes open? That's to me, I think the Texas job is a better job than LSU. I know some people would probably want to fight me over that, but if you can get everybody aligned at Texas, I think Texas could be the number one job outside of A&M. They have the most resources. Explain to me how it couldn't work, but it hasn't at Texas because they got too many flies in the ointment over there. And I think Sark realizes that. And then I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing at Florida too. Why they're not looked at as the holy grail. You've only had two guys win there in 100 years. It was Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier, and they were kind of close together. Ron Zook recruited his ass off, but he just didn't win enough. So, in my opinion, I don't think Ron Zook left Urban Meyer an empty cupboard by any stretch of the imagination. And also the Florida fans want to argue with me about the Lane Kiffin stuff, or not Lane Kiffin, but they want to argue with me about Urban Meyer. Florida was going to fire Urban Meyer. It's just what it is. But also, we're about 20 minutes in tonight. Probably stay on till the conclusion of the Navy-Memphis game. That might be something that we may be interested in. But also, the phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. The only thing I ask, don't call me restricted. So we know it's not a prank call. But outside of that, I think the tomorrow at noon, the Egg Bowl is going to be the most fascinating scene in sports. This might be, outside of Ole Miss hosting a playoff game, this press conference that's coming up post-game is going to be fascinating because they're going to have to ask the question, Lane, are you staying or leaving? Allegedly, there's stuff out there that I've seen on the internet. The source, trust me, bro, is that Saturday night, LSU's going to name Kiffin the head coach. Is it going to happen? I don't know. That's what all the chatter is out there. So, with all things being said, the way I look at it is that his son has a playoff game that night. It's going to be real awkward playing for a Mississippi State championship when you're the head coach at LSU. And I'm not even talking about the airplane stuff, all the stuff that you could do in the cloak of night, and there's pictures of the Kiffin family. And I'm not trying to go after the family by any means at all. Lane has every right to make the decision that he wants to make, but I'm also saying at some point you have to make a decision, Lane. That's the only thing that I'm saying in the whole kit and caboodle here. You have to make a decision. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Lane's staying or going? Also, phone line is open. Also, if you enjoy this content, hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us a ton. So there is that. Appreciate all 191 of you wanting to spend Thanksgiving here on the Andre Duke Show. I appreciate that. Phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069. I want to hear from the fans on this one. I've kind of made up my own mind on what I think about it. Thanksgiving, Little John is performing it looked like Little John performing in Baltimore. Kind of seems like a missed opportunity, but there's that. But we will get off the Egg Bowl. We will get off the whole Kiffin thing. I know there's probably some Ole Miss fans completely turned off by the whole thought and topic of it, but I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. We're going to have almost 200 people at 10 o'clock Eastern tuning in to the pod. Appreciate every single one of you. You don't have to spend your Thanksgiving with me, but we're in here talking some college football. Also, ticket prices at Davis Wade. Tickets as low as $158. Unbelievable. That is the cheapest spot to get in. So I think that and ticket prices have rose throughout the week as well. We're hitting the solid $200 mark. Also, for everybody that wants to know, phone line is open. Let me pin a comment in the chat. Hold on, I'm getting this in the comments. Okay. Phone line is in the chat as well if you want to call. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. So we will officially move on from I have made the decision to move on from the Lane Kiffin deal. Going down the SEC this week, we have Georgia Tech. That's also a hot ticket as well. $175 get-in price. And it's the Atlanta Mercedes-Benz Dome. Georgia minus 13.5. As we can see from last year, minus 13.5, that is a danger zone. Should Georgia come out there and just pound them on the ground, if I'm Mike Bobo, that's what I'm doing. Again, not trying to get too much into the Gunnar Stockton running the football, but I think if you're Brett Key and you are Georgia Tech, you got to give everything you got with Haynes King, because if you lose this one, most likely you're not going to the playoffs. So that is where this gets interesting, to say the least. Do I think Georgia Tech has a shot? I think they have a puncher's chance. Now, do I think that they'll end up in upset Georgia, barring something interesting happening? Yeah, it could. It's going to get interesting. I will say that. It's going to get very interesting, I think. 13.5 is a lot of points. But I guess if it was me, I would wait and see what the line does on the Ole Miss game. But if it's me, I'm buying Ole Miss down to 6.5. Is what I would do. In the event that Lane Kiffin loses that game, he just better get on the plane and go to Baton Rouge, in my opinion. Because I think if they lose in Starkville, and God forbid that happens, because the Ole Miss fan base will probably have a riot on campus, I think Lane doesn't even travel back on the bus with the team. I think somebody comes, scoops him up, and it's a whole Tennessee situation. They just leave in the middle of the night. That's what I think happens. But enough about Lane. We're talking about Kirby and the Dogs. We got any Georgia fans out there? Jeez, 225. I don't know how he can go back to Ole Miss. Glenn says, I don't know how he can go back to Ole Miss next year after all this. Yeah, I agree with you. Glenn. Also, Glenn, the phone line is open. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call if you want to hop in and join the conversation live. We are live. But I think Tech, even though it's tough, but I like Tech plus the 13.5. Although I think if Georgia goes out there and takes care of business, they should cover 13.5. I don't know if Georgia Tech's got enough offensive firepower to hang with the Dogs. Gunnar Stockton clicking on all angles, and he is fighting. I know when we posted that when we posted that deal that we did about the Heisman Trophy, a lot of Georgia fans came out of the woodwork and were like, hey, you got to put Gunnar Stockton in there. I think that Stockton, Marcel Reed, and Jeremiah Love are the leaders in the leaders of the pack. Mendoza, going to be tough. I think for Mendoza, it's hard to say his Heisman moment was against a 4-6 Penn State at the time. But also, speaking of Penn State, they got bowl eligibility on the line this week. So Penn State shows up, they might get bowl eligible without James Franklin. And I think that's a testament to that team and the leadership and everything that went in there. They were also holding up signs about hiring the interim coach. So I think that's a pretty good deal there. So there's that. Also, we're going to try to keep it specific to playoff teams. Also on Black Friday, you have Indiana, Purdue. I can just tell you right now, I don't know. It's on the road at West Lafayette. The weather's bad. Could something interesting happen? I doubt it. But I'm just saying, college football is so unpredictable. I hate to be that guy, but if I had to, bet serious dollars on it, like big time dollars, all I'm saying is I think Indiana's the lock of the weekend at 27.5. I don't think Purdue can score. That's just my opinion. I don't think they can score. But also, we're coming up to the 30-minute mark. Appreciate all 243 of you in here. Also, if we can hit the like and subscribe button, that helps us a ton over here on the podcast. We're one more subscriber away from reaching 400. Also, and if you're new here on the pod, typically like to roll Monday through Friday. Monday's always a call-in show, barring anything catastrophic happening. Monday, call-in show. Tuesday, my boy Richie comes on and joins. And then Wednesday, call-in show. Thursday, Richie comes back for some more. And then Friday's the call-in show leading into the weekend. And then Saturday, we normally stream the big SEC game at night. So there's that. And then also in the second half of the live streams on the weekend, we typically will open the phone lines in the second half. Just for all you new folks out there, we are one subscriber away from 400. So I would love to get number 400 this evening. That would be great. I would appreciate you guys a lot. But moving on down the slate, tickets for this game, Texas A&M at Austin, tickets as low as $351. I would say probably, let me check the Ohio State-Michigan game. I would say that that's the hottest ticket in college football, to be honest. Where are you at? Ohio State, Michigan? Yeah. Texas A&M, hottest ticket in college football. They're the leaders in the clubhouse, to say the least. Also, if you want to chime in, phone lines open. Number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Appreciate everybody. We are sipping on some Sinatra Signature Jack, and it is delicious. So, next game that I am looking at is Texas A&M, Texas. $351 to get you through the door. That's a pretty good chunk of change. Texas A&M. Give me A&M and minus the 2.5 points. I like A&M big in this one. A&M is big. I think this is where A&M, Mike Elko, I think Texas A&M takes the next step. This is where I think Texas takes the back seat. I could definitely see Sark out the door after this. Although I was trolling whenever I said Sark back to USC. Some people didn't think that was too funny, especially USC fans on TikTok. They got a little in their feels because Lincoln Riley ain't leaving, bro. So it's whatever. I look at it as, and when Sark says, I'm not going anywhere, I think that Texas, at the drop of a hat, could raise the 70 some odd million they would need. And I mean, it would be overnight. I mean, A&M did. I mean, if A&M can do it, and you mean to tell me Texas can't raise 77 million? I think the Longhorns would say, hold my beer and watch this, folks. But I like A&M big in this one. Realistically, I don't know what Texas is got to get it together offensively. They have to take charge on their possessions. And I think one of the other big issues when it comes for A&M being on the road, they have the best road win out of anybody, I think, all year, going to Notre Dame Stadium and doing that whole deal. Even though they won by one, but at the end of the day, getting a win at Notre Dame Stadium is hard when Notre Dame is functional. I'm not talking about the Marshall, Northern Illinois. I'm talking about when they're functional and rolling. But let the record reflect, they did lose those games. That is a fact. So I'm not doing that. Also, got a lot of new people in here. Phone lines are open. If you want to call, number to call, 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Also, like and subscribe button. I know I sound like a broken record, but there is that. I like A&M big in that one. I think A&M's the better team. I think right now, as it sits right now, Arch shows flashes of going to be a really good player, but I think Marcel Reed is a Heisman finalist. Him, Pavia, Marcel Reed, Diego Pavia, Gunnar Stockton, and Jeremiah Love got a lot to say about the Heisman Trophy. I know some people would probably disagree with that. Whatever. I mean, a lot of people want to give it to the Ohio State contingent wants to give it to Julian Sand, but I don't know what you do with that. Sign what? Seal what? Whoa. Sign what? Seal what? Whoa. Is that F? That explains a lot. What are you talking about, James? Just curious. Just curious what you're talking about. But like I said, I like A&M big. I don't necessarily know. I don't think I want anything to do with the over-under in that game, to be honest. So I think that's kind of where we're at. Also, to update people, the Bengals are beating the Ravens. Fascinating, interesting stuff, to say the least. Navy is up on Missouri. Ryan Silverfield's tenure has been in question at Missouri, at Memphis, whether he's coming back as the head coach. I think that's going to be interesting. Also, programming note, we're going to be live 7:30, Texas A&M, Texas, tomorrow, Black Friday. That's the only one we're doing. I want to take in the ambiance of the Egg Bowl just to see what I can pull out of it. I think that'll be very interesting, to say the least. So there is that. I'll probably start the stream 5 minutes before the quote-unquote scheduled kickoff. So we'll see where that shakes out. But turning the sights to Saturday, and we're not going to be on here super long, but phone line is open. Number to call 260-255-4069. Also, it is pinned in the comments, or it's in the chat, and then it's also on the ticker below as well. So if you want to call, get your call in. Phone number is on the bottom of the ticker. So there is that. Ohio State, Michigan. As you can hear that big sigh, Ohio State, Michigan. Well, when it comes to Ohio State, Michigan, on the Big Ten parlay, I know this is going to pain some people, but I think it's that doesn't explain anything. What doesn't explain anything? Huh. That doesn't what are you talking about? What do you mean it doesn't explain anything? Bizarre, but I say roll with Michigan. Roll with the men of Michigan. Yeah, right now it sits at plus 9.5. I don't know why you wouldn't take it, to be honest. So, I mean, Michigan's beat them. They haven't beat them since 2019. They didn't play in 2020, and they lost every single one after that. So, 9.5 is a lot of points. Clemson, South Carolina, that is a dumpster fire. Kentucky, Louisville. Louisville's minus 2.5. I don't know what you want to do with the Cats. Colorado goes on the road to Kansas State. We'll have to see how that shakes out. Kansas State is 16.5 points. Are you giving Auburn a shot against Bama at Auburn? Hold on. We ain't there yet. We are not there yet. So just hang with me while I go through these other games, and we'll get there. Colorado 16.5 point underdogs. Tickets at Bill Snyder Family Memorial Stadium in Manhattan as low as $13. So just let that one sink in. Nothing of note. Kind of in the 3:00 hour. I mean, you have Washington, Oregon on CBS. I don't know how many people are pumped up for that, but that would be a pretty good jab at old Dan if Jed Fish could pull one out at the end, because I would say Jed Fish is probably, if Florida doesn't get Kiffin, I would say Jed Fish to Florida makes sense. He went there. So there's that. The comment earlier. Oh, whenever I get to that on the schedule list, yeah, I'm definitely going over Auburn at Bama 100%. Also, the phone line is open. Number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. Also, sneaking in there, LSU, Oklahoma is going to be on ABC. I would say that'll draw a pretty big number, to say the least. I think that draws a big number. I just don't see how it doesn't. But it's going up against, I would like to see what the ratings are, because LSU is found on road dead. And then Oklahoma, the only thing they have to do is win, and they're kind of in the playoffs. So Oklahoma really doesn't have to stress about anything. They just have to beat LSU, and then it's over. But Vanderbilt, Tennessee is a big game for both programs, because if Vanderbilt can go on the road and win, that's huge. I think that puts Vandy's resume kind of up there with everybody else's, to say the least. I know some people want to argue that, but it's another ranked win. So we'll see what Vandy does there. Tennessee -2.5. I think that's going to be a close game. Me personally, I would stay off that one. And then Missouri is taking on Arkansas. They're stuffing that on SEC Network because, let's be real, neither one of them programs are really playing for anything. Eli Drinkwitz might be out the door. They were at Oklahoma last week. Eli Drinkwitz was shouting back at obscenities back at the crowd when they were coming out of the tunnel. There was Oklahoma people telling him, "Your coach is leaving. Why are you playing? You got to hit the portal." And Drink was yelling "F you" at the fans. So there's that. Arkansas, Missouri. I wouldn't be shocked if Missouri just fumbles it and Drink is out the door. So we'll see. We'll see if Eli takes another job. Although I would say if I had the choices of like Penn State or Florida, I think I'd take Penn State, to be honest. So there's that. And then just looking at some other stuff. Just some other stats that I had seen out there. Outside of that, Paul Bunyan's axe. Maybe Fickle gets it back. Maybe he doesn't. Penn State's got bowl eligibility on the line. Florida State. Good luck on that one if you're betting that. And then we get to the jewel of the evening, which we'll be streaming live. Alabama is on the road against Auburn. What are you thinking on that, folks? Alabama versus Auburn. The line sets Alabama -5. I have an A wrote down, and I don't know which side I lean. I think I lean Auburn. I really do. I really think I lean Auburn. Give me Auburn +5.5. That's what I like. Out of the SEC games, give me Ole Miss -6.5. Georgia Tech +13.5. A&M -2.5. Auburn +5.5. I think that is I think that's pretty solid. That's a pretty solid four-legger in my opinion. We'll see what we come up with. Notre Dame goes on the road at Palo Alto. Don't let Notre Dame lose that, because I think if Notre Dame loses and Tennessee wins, we about to see something funny go on. The Big Ten fans will lose their minds if they put a 3-loss Tennessee in. I'm just telling you now. If they put 3-loss Tennessee in, Big Ten people will freak out. And then also some of the other things that I had seen. We're 45 minutes in. We have almost 300 people in here. Appreciate every single one of you tuning in. Also, phone line is open. Number to call. 260-255-4069 is the number to call if you want to hop in. But as we get to close the show, I know that's riveting podcasting. As we close the show, I guess there's going to be, between head coach, offensive coordinator, there's going to be 40 openings between the top 3 positions on football staffs. So I think there's going to be some guys getting some jobs. That is There's going to be some angst there. Is your guy leaving? Is your guy staying? I think in Columbus, a lot of people will disagree with me. A lot of people in the industry will disagree with me on this. But if Ohio State loses to Michigan, it's going to get loud in Columbus. Let's not forget that. It will get loud there. I'm just telling you, it'll get loud. Some people don't want, a lot of people want to have the head buried in the sand when it comes to that, but I'm not saying, but I'm saying without saying. Whoa, I think we have a shot to War Eagle. My thing is Alan, I think the big thing is Alabama can't run the football. They can't run the football. They can't rely on Gunnar Stockton, or not Gunnar Stockton. They can't rely on Ty Simpson to throw it 50 times a game. That's not going to work. That's not conducive for winning SEC football games. You have to have some semblance of a run game. And DJ Durkin shuts it down, and then they just go after him. To say the least, they just go after them. That's just kind of my opinion on it. But you just go after them, pin the ears back, and blitz the hell out of them. That's what I would do. But that's why I'm here talking on a podcast on Thanksgiving night at 10:37 Eastern and not preparing for a game. But I digress. But yeah, I think that could be the game of the week. There's going to be several teams that punch their playoff ticket, and then there's going to be several teams that also punch out their playoff ticket. They just might as well rip it up and light it on fire. That's coming this weekend as well. And also, not that I try to give people free plugs, but does anybody else find it off-putting with John Travolta being Santa Claus in the Capital One commercial? Just very interesting. So there is that. The college football playoff rankings. I think we're probably going to see Georgia A&M in the SEC championship, and we're probably going to see Ohio State, Indiana, which I think that Cignetti wants to see Ryan Day again. Also, in that Ohio State Michigan game as well, I talked about it a little bit with Richie a couple days ago. That is for Michigan. This is a big game. Not only because it's the game. Michigan, the only thing you have to do is win and you're in. It's all you have to do. Win and you're in. That's all you have to do. That's all they have to do. Hold on. Getting something else around. Holy cow, we're up to 305 people on Thanksgiving night. So we'll see. Also, on the Arkansas thing, there's been multiple reports about Alex Golesh being the new head coach at Arkansas. I wish Alex Golesh well. Hopefully he can get them over the hump. I know Arkansas's had a kind of a little bit of a trying time to try to get it figured out ever since Petrino got fired the first time in shame. Time is a flat circle. That's the way I look at it. But yeah, having a little for all the new folks, having a little signature Jack Daniels, the Sinatra edition. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's a pretty cool. Comes in a box. Also, the bottle's pretty cool. Got that on the old. Had some people get that for me as a token of gratitude. I appreciate those people that that made that possible. Alan Brooks 9618 says, I agree, blitz Bama. Yes. And also, I think on offense for Auburn, while we're on this, we'll probably cut this thing off in about 10 minutes. Phone line's open. You got 10 minutes to call. You are literally the people that are going to extend the show. If you call, yes, we will extend the show. No calls, no extension. We're out when we're out. So, I appreciate everybody who pulled up to the Thanksgiving live that we got going tonight. I know a lot of people have a lot of things going on. Also, if you're traveling out there, please be safe. Also, don't drink and drive. Call an Uber. It is a $20 Uber and a $150 parking deal, or get your car towed for $200, $300 is a lot cheaper than the alternative. So there is that. I appreciate everybody who hit the like and subscribe button. We are one subscriber away from 400. One subscriber away. I'll update it again. But I was hoping to do the Thanksgiving stream. I was hoping to get to 400 tonight, but Alan also says, I think Ryan Day finally beats Michigan, but if not, it definitely will get loud, as you stated. Oh, I think so. The fans are going to be pissed. Because, see, even though I don't live in the South, I pretty much a guy that loves SEC football living in the North. I have a lot of family that are South, a lot of family that are big Tennessee fans. That's why I kind of avoid talking about Tennessee in a lot of Alabama, because I have a lot of family that lives outside of Murfreesboro and then on the Alabama-Tennessee line as well. So it's pretty contentious whenever it comes and they tune in, they watch, listen later. And I'll get text messages and phone calls about, what you got against Tennessee? What you got against Alabama? So, two programs that I kind of shy away from. It's not that they're not uncriticizable, but it just makes things easier on me. And especially if they're not doing anything, if they're winning and not really having any warts on their resume, there's nothing you can really do about it. But although I did stump last year in the college football playoff, SMU did not deserve to get in. I will stand on that. And when they went up to Happy Valley, they did not look like they belonged. And that is a fact, Jack. So, as we are closing it in for the evening, I think the Utah-Kansas game could get interesting. Iowa-Nebraska, I think that's pretty fascinating on Black Friday. There's some low-key, sneaky, decent games on Black Friday, to say the least. I mean, the Egg Bowl is going to have the whole nation captivated. They really did a solid one there by putting that one at noon. And then probably what's going to break TV, Fox will have the two highest rated games the first week and the last week, because they have Ohio State, Michigan the last week, and they had Texas, Ohio State the first week. Fox is going to struggle for inventory next year, because I would say they'll probably have, what is that? Oklahoma, Michigan will be a big noon kickoff. Guaranteed that will be, if Fox has anything to do with it. Although it'd be cool if it was on CBS, but I have my beef with CBS on the own side of it. Oh, what is that? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? John Candy, Steve Martin? Interesting. Haven't seen that movie in a grip. So, but yeah, definitely appreciate everybody who's tuned in. We're looking, I was holding out hope we'd get to 400 tonight, but we didn't. and I also didn't really promote this either. I should have put something on Instagram, but I didn't. But we're going to be getting everything set up for tomorrow. Appreciate everybody. Also, if you're new here, give you kind of the lay of the land. Everyone keeps thinking A&M falls soon. They have made me a believer. Marcel Reed, truther here. I agree with you, man. I totally 150% agree with you on that. Marcel Reed, to me, is the leader for the Heisman Trophy. Him, Gunnar Stockton, Jeremiah Love. I think if we're picking the best, absolute best player, I think there's an argument to be made on all ends for Jeremiah Love, Marcel Reed, and yeah. So there's kind of that. Alan Brooks, appreciate you again, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, appreciate you. I was hoping we were going to get to that 400th subscriber tonight, but doesn't look like we're going to get there, but we'll get there eventually. Appreciate you. So yeah, there's that. We're going live 5 minutes before kickoff for Texas A&M. Second half, phone lines will be open. That is something that we do. Because if I can get the post-game show over quicker for that game, I will. Normally, I leave it open to 30 to 45 minutes. We get calls. If we don't, we don't. That is what it is. The watch parties and / post-game show and call-in show is all fan-driven. So as long as you guys are pulling up, we'll keep her moving. So outside of that, we are going to do Ohio State, Michigan Saturday, and then Saturday night, Alabama taking on Auburn. Alabama's season's on the line. I said this earlier in the week. Alabama has more pressure on them to win that game than Ohio State does to beat Michigan. I said it earlier in the week. I'm going to stand on business with that. A lot of people will say, well, Ohio State has zero pressure at all. If they lose, so what? They're still going to the playoffs regardless, win or lose. Michigan gets in. That's just kind of what it is. Alabama loses, their season's over. They ain't getting in the playoff. Period. They're not getting in. I would bet a substantial amount of money that Alabama does not get in the playoffs, and the folks down at Jordan-Hare can change that. Because remember, when the top ranked, I can't remember what A&M was ranked. They were all worried about Texas, looking to the week ahead, and they fell down at Auburn. Fell flat on their face, Texas A&M did. I think Elko's learned that. Realistically, for Texas, this is a free shot to some degree getting on the A&M, but I just don't see how A&M gets stopped on offensively by Texas. Because I think Marcel Reed, outside of Ohio State, I mean, they lost at the Swamp on the road. So, and then also it looks like Missouri's going to fall to Navy. We'll have to see where Ryan Silverfield ends up, if he is going to be on the up and out. Also, the coaching vacancies, well, Golish is there. You have Auburn, Cal, Florida, LSU, Oregon State, Penn State, Stanford, UAB, and UCLA. Those are all the opening jobs right now. And then if they hire guys with current jobs, I think Frank Reich signs up for another year at Stanford. I really do believe that. Especially if he beats Notre Dame. That's also something we didn't cover. Real quick, if Frank Reich loses, or if Marcus Freeman loses to Stanford, that's rough because his season's over. Do I think it's likely? No. But in college football, you can never say never. Subscribed, Alan. Yes, Alan, you are the man. 400. 400. I appreciate that. 400 subscribers we've got on the show. That is awesome. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I think we're doing something cool here. I appreciate everybody, even though the call-in show doesn't go. I didn't advertise it as a call-in show, but appreciate everybody. We are on the road to get to 500. That changes the ball game a little bit, and it helps us out. Helps us out a ton getting to that 400 mark. Appreciate every single body that subscribed, that spent a little time here and hung out with us tonight on Thanksgiving. Appreciate everybody. And we'll go ahead and hop out of here. Happy Thanksgiving. We will be back Black Friday tomorrow night. And it's going to be Texas A&M taking on the Horns. That's what it's going to be. So I appreciate all of you. Hopefully you guys pull up tomorrow. Navy is going to beat Memphis. That is very interesting. We'll have to see what the Silverfield future lies ahead and what Ryan Silverfield's future is. Cincinnati currently up. Yeah, that Derrick Henry guy. Yikes. Imagine meeting that dude in the A gap. Yeah, that's a no thanks for me. So yeah, there's that. We'll be back. And then we'll be back with you Saturday morning, Ohio State, Michigan. And then we're going to be doing the Iron Bowl. A&M, Texas Friday night, Saturday night, and Saturday morning, Ohio State, Michigan. And then Auburn, Alabama, and that is going to conclude the regular season. And then we'll probably do the SEC championship, conference championship week, and spitballing, probably doing the Big Ten conference championship. So appreciate new subscriber Alan Brooks. He put us over the top. 400 subs. Unbelievable. Didn't think it was when I started this podcast, I didn't getting to 100 was hard. Now we've hit 400. Some people will say, oh, man, it's not a big deal. It's not very many. But when you're out here in a very, very competitive space, it helps a ton. But with that being said, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Everybody be safe, and we will see you tomorrow night. Have a good night, everyone.